Hi everyone, thank you, Lika. So today, after listening to these two sharings, I bet everyone knows that today we'll be learning about our cardiovascular system, right? So before we begin, let's recap last week's topic. So we learned about the relationship between energy and our body's metabolism. So energy can effectively stimulate and boost the function of our metabolism. What components does it contain that allow it to have these functions? Well, energy is a 1,200 days long fermentation of 65 types of plants, 15 types of probiotics, and 3 types of prebiotics. So during these 1,200 days, many subtle nutritional components were cultivated, and the components were subtle enough to let even fetuses and our small intestines to be absorbed. And during the fermentation period, high polyphenols content was also produced. And studies found that the polyphenols found in energy had exceeded 16 types. So polyphenols are also different types of antioxidants that can benefit our body in various ways. So proprietary clinical studies found that energy's components can not only regulate our blood levels, but also in detoxification, liver protection that will stimulate cell regeneration, prevent fat accumulation, and lower our blood pressure. So this supplement that has gone through the fermentation is really different from the fruits or the plants that had not undergo any fermentation, because it contains a lot of antioxidants that is beneficial for our bodies. So today, let's get into cardiovascular. I believe everyone knows that an unhealthy cardiovascular system often comes with certain conditions, such as hypertension and high cholesterol. So if we don't take care of these two conditions, we might have the risk of getting heart attacks or strokes. And most importantly, heart attacks and strokes are known as the #1 killers in all countries. And oftentimes, the #1 cause of death is due to heart attacks. And besides, hypertension, high cholesterol, and heart attack are not something that happens overnight. They are the symptoms caused by the many changes that are happening inside our blood vessels. So actually, before we even realize that we have hypertension, we probably already have really stiff and hardened blood vessels. So we probably already have these few problems, which are hardened blood vessels, narrow blood vessels, and inflammation, thickened blood, blood flow, as well as the formation of thrombus, which might lead to vascular obstruction. So all these are the symptoms of unhealthy cardiovascular systems. And these might not be able to be seen with our naked eyes, but these conditions and symptoms would occur to let us identify an unhealthy cardiovascular system. So now let's talk about how heart attacks and strokes occur. So both are actually conditions that have accumulated over a long period of time. And this is known as the atherosclerosis development and progression, where it would trigger the rise of many heart-related chronic diseases. So actually, our circulatory system had always been smooth without any obstruction. But maybe due to our daily habits and diet, our blood vessels would start to have many free radicals, which triggers oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is when many free radicals start to damage the inner walls of our blood vessels. And when this issue is not under control, it is known as the oxidative stress. And it will widen the range that is oxidated because it's not controlled. So in the end, this would lead to inflammation, because when the inner walls of your blood vessels are inflamed, it induces endothelial injury. So what happens when it is injured? Well, the inner walls of our blood cells would thicken up and it would start attracting substances found in blood vessels, which includes blood lipids, cholesterol, and some other minerals from our blood vessels, such as calcium. So all these would stick onto the inner walls of our blood vessels. And when it sticks to it, this occurrence is also when it is inflamed. Hence, it will start to attract leukocytes, and immune cells to where it is inflamed. So as these substances are sticking onto the walls, they would gradually start to develop into plaque. And this plaque that form on the walls would narrow blood vessels. And gradually, as the plaque starts to grow larger and larger, and more substances starts to stick onto the inner walls, you can see here that the inner walls of our blood vessels would rupture. So as it starts to grow bigger and bigger, it will start to bleed and it will rupture. So during the rupture, it will also start to form what is known as the thrombus. And if this thrombus stays at the rupture spot, the blood vessels would become even more narrowed. But if this thrombus breaks free from the rupture, and if it flows along the blood vessels and enters into other capillaries, which are thinner blood vessels, there is a chance that it would reach our brain, which might lead to a stroke. So if it reaches any of our heart's vital blood vessels, it might cause heart attacks. And at times, it would even find its way up to our lungs, which would induce certain lung issues. If it gets to our limbs, we'll find ourselves diagnosed with certain health conditions because of that. So the first question, as everyone already knows about the process that leads to an unhealthy cardiovascular system and how severe the conditions it will cause. So how should we reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease? Okay, everyone needs to keep in mind that a healthy cardiovascular system begins with our diet. The first one is to make a smart choice in healthy oils. Actually, many is mistaken that for heart concerns, they should not consume oil due to fear of having too much cholesterol. So actually, this is not accurate. It's about choosing the right type of oil, just like the ones in this picture, that is from plants such as avocados, nuts, olive oil, or sunflower oil. So these are all healthy oils that are beneficial in balancing our cholesterol. So on the other hand, we should consume fewer oils that are processed, fried, or what we call man-made butter, which is margarine, and other butter made from animal fats. So I'm not saying that you should avoid it completely, but try to be mindful of the ratio. So which means that you should consume more healthy oil as compared to these processed fried oils. The second one is the healthy cooking method. Of course, cooking with less oil would be the best. And it is also important to know how to properly fry foods with oils. Because if you ever need to fry or cook the oil in high heat, it is important to choose the right type of oil and never use oils such as olive oil for frying, because this would damage their fats and as it goes into your body, it might cause more growth of free radicals. So it's like olive oil initially is a good type of oil, but after you fry it, it becomes a bad type of oil. So it is crucial to use the oil appropriately and also to use the appropriate oil for each cooking method. So some cooking methods that uses less oil are like steaming, boiling, stir frying, because it only uses a little oil, grilling, or stewing. So the third one is to have a high fiber and antioxidant diet. So for foods that have both fiber and antioxidants, they are usually fruits and vegetables. We need fiber not only to have bowel movement, but actually some fiber can also help to absorb the bad cholesterols in your body and have them come out along with your stool. So this helps to effectively lower the cholesterol in our body. And as for antioxidants, they help respond to the free radicals and prevent them from having oxidative stress or be inflamed. So the fourth one is to choose plant protein because they have less saturated fats, which is beneficial to our cardiovascular system. And this is why many studies concluded that a vegetarian diet is better for the health of your heart. And I believe everyone knows that low sodium diet, because too much salt would lead to hypertension. And so I would not elaborate on that. And last but not least, I know everyone is wondering if there are any suitable health supplements that can increase our blood circulation and the health of our cardiovascular system. So now let's have a look at why is Alex Young's formula good for having a healthy blood circulation. So the first component is known as L-arginine. When L-arginine enters our body, it will be converted into nitric oxide. So nitric oxides aren't anything special, actually. Our body itself produces nitric oxides. But our body can't produce nitric oxide from nothing. It actually needs you to consume food that contains L-arginine so that your body can convert that into nitric oxide. And our body has the ability to convert into nitric oxide, but you need to provide them with the materials. So why is the conversion of nitric oxide important to our blood vessels? Well, this is because studies found that nitric oxide has the ability to send messages to our blood vessels and let them know that, hey, it's time for you to loosen up. And if you have sufficient nitric oxide, your blood vessel would dilate and loosen up. So when your blood vessels are loosened up, it allows blood to flow more smoothly. And it would also restore the elasticity of blood vessels. Because whether it's due to old age or due to some reasons that make your blood vessels stiff, this will lead to hypertension. So therefore, nitric oxide's job is to let your blood vessels know when to loosen up so that it maintains their elasticity. It also helps with damaged blood vessels and increases blood flow. So the next main component in this formulation is curcumin. Don't mistake curcumin for turmeric, as it is far more than just that. So for turmeric, we use percentage. It only contains 3% of curcumin. So you will not be able to obtain the benefits that curcumin can provide if you solely rely on turmeric. And curcumin is actually extracted from turmeric, so it is much more concentrated. And studies found that pairing the extracted curcumin along with L-arginine can boost the production of nitric oxide up to 40%. And the production of nitric oxide is much more if you add an extracted curcumin as compared to just having the L-arginine. And studies have also found that curcumin can reduce bad cholesterol and raise good cholesterol. So this means that LDL would decrease and your HDL will increase, which is the best way for us to control our cholesterol. So curcumin is also great in suppressing inflammation, which is beneficial for our blood vessels because, as mentioned earlier, atherosclerosis development and progression are often due to inflammation and free radicals. So suppressing inflammation and increasing antioxidant protection are both very beneficial for our blood vessels. So let's have a look here. Actually, as I've said before, curcumin does not equal to turmeric. So let's have a look here. Not all curcumin is equal, because through the different technology and manufacturing, you can see that this patented curcumin can easily be dispersed, which also indicates better absorption and effectiveness. So the patented curcumin also has higher bioavailability, and it is 4 times higher than generic curcumin. And in comparison, its absorption is also much more higher. So this is why, even though they're both curcumin, they have different functions. Now, let's have a look at the third main component, which is the tomato aqueous extract, TAE. The components in TAE are also very unique. In 2011, it was actually rewarded as the Best New Ingredient Award. And why is that? Well, this is because the extract can help maintain a normal platelet aggregation. When we have a cut or a wound, platelets are the ones that notify our blood vessels to agglomerate so as to stop the bleeding. So for those who have poor blood circulation, their platelet would not be as healthy. So in normal circumstances, they can drop their blood, which would affect the health of our blood circulation. So TAE can prevent abnormal platelet aggregation for up to 12 hours. As it is not a medicinal drug, its function of preventing abnormal platelet aggregation would not affect the normal platelet aggregation. So let's say that if you do end up getting injured, it doesn't affect the platelets function. So don't worry about it. TAE also possesses a natural anti-inflammatory effect, which can soothe any surfacing inflammation. Also, a vital point to emphasize is that tomato aqueous extract is not like taking the normal tomatoes that we eat and blend them into juices. So TAE is actually the water-soluble complex bioactive compounds derived from the gel surrounding the tomato seeds. So keep in mind that extracts require special skills and technologies in order for them to be extracted. And the last one is a group of synergistic vitamins. So not one, but a bunch, which includes vitamin E, vitamin B6, folic acid, which is also known as vitamin B9, vitamin B12, and beta carotene. So why do we group these vitamins together? This is because studies found that these vitamins can protect our blood vessels from damaging and oxidating, and especially vitamin E and beta carotene, as they function as antioxidants for blood vessels. And B6, B9, and B12 can also regulate homocysteine. So homocysteine is a type of substance that is left behind after supersession. For those who are lacking in their vitamin Bs, the levels of homocysteine would increase. So actually, many studies found that this homocysteine has the ability to damage our blood vessels. Not only would it spark blood vessel-related diseases, but others as well, as our blood vessels would affect other parts of our bodies. So those with high homocysteine levels will cause some brain conditions in elderly people. For instance, Alzheimer's disease, age-related macular degeneration, and hearing loss. So all these are related to it as it affects our blood vessels. But just now we mentioned that the TAE was rewarded as the Best New Ingredient Award in 2011. So actually, the patented curcumin we mentioned earlier also received many awards for its ingredients. For instance, the Botanical Product of the Year in 2018, Award-winning Technology in 2019, and Innovation of the Year in 2019. So, This is why we say that the ELKEN Young is a comprehensive formulation for healthy circulation. Let's take a look back at how it can help with our circulation. So the first is inflammation, oxidative stress. With the help of TAE, it has an anti-inflammatory effect and can help with abnormal platelet aggregation. For L-arginine, it loosens up our blood vessels, which in return prevents endothelial dysfunction. Endothelial dysfunction is when our blood vessels are damaged. It doesn't know when to relax or contract, which thickens up our blood vessels and leads to hypertension and plaque formation. Because endothelial dysfunction will lead to plaque formation, so L-arginine can help in this aspect. So the third component is curcumin. As mentioned earlier, curcumin boosts the production of nitric oxide and once again helps with the endothelial dysfunction. So the last question, who is ELKEN Young most suitable for? Of course, those who it's suitable for those is generally healthy or semi-healthy adults as a type of daily maintenance for their health. And it is also suitable for elderly as they have a higher risk of getting cardiovascular diseases. And of course, working adults who experience lots of stress and have an imbalanced diet as they also have a higher risk of getting the diseases. And women in menopause who have menopause usually have higher cholesterol levels. And their decreasing hormone levels also puts them at a higher risk of heart attacks. So that's why they should pay more attention to their heart as well. So next are smokers. Of course, those who smoke usually have more free radicals in their body, so they need more antioxidants. As for obese people, they lack nutrients that will help protect their cardiovascular system, and they might also have hypertension or high cholesterol. So for those with a reproductive health problem, improving their cardiovascular system could help in certain aspects of their condition. As for females, if they want to deliver blood circulation to their eggs in order to form an embryo, they actually need healthier blood circulation to deliver sufficient oxygen. So that's it for my sharing. Thank you.